So this book is fairly new. It came out this year, just recently, actually, and I kind of learned about it from David Morrell of all people's Twitter feed. He is the guy who wrote First Blood, among a bunch of other things. But he's also a film aficionado, and this book, Desi Arnaz, the man who invented television, it was on his Twitter feed, and I was like, I'm going to pick that up and take a look at it. I read a lot of books. I've read a lot of biographies over the years. And a lot of times biographies, especially of well-known people, have a tendency to only show the good. They kind of gloss over a lot of stuff and sort of do this hero worship thing. This one doesn't really do that. This one pulls no punches, right? But it's about Desi Arnaz, who was married to Lucille Ball, and of course the I Love Lucy show. He was the husband in on the show and in real life. They had two kids together and married for 20 years before they got divorced. But the book pulls no punches, and it's not just about him and his life, it's about his career and what he did for television. For instance, before the I Love Lucy show, TV shows were all filmed live, and it went out on the East Coast live and sort of Central live. But if you were out in Mountain or West Coast, you got to see it the following week. And the way they would get you a copy of it was they would actually film it live, and then they would have a camera pointed at a TV screen that showed what was being filmed, and that's how they would record it. It was a terrible way to record things because TV at the time kind of sucked, and recording it off of TV was even worse. So everything kind of looked like the Apollo landings. It was just terrible if you were out in California, unless you saw it go out live. And he was the first one to go, you know what? We're going to record on film. It's a comedy. We're going to do a 3 camera setup. We're going to record on film. We're going to record in front of a studio audience. We're going to record it scene by scene. We're not going to go out live. And that enabled a couple things. One was you get sort of multiple camera angles, so you can get reaction shots and mix them all together, which it was new. Nobody done that at the time. And the other thing that enabled was reruns. So a lot of people in the TV industry were like, "That's insane. Why would you record it? Who'd care about that, right? We don't want to record these things. We just want to throw them out live and then be done with it." And he said, no, I want to record it, and that way East Coast, West Coast get the same quality show. And you could record your show anywhere. You don't have to be in New York, because at the time most TV was recorded in New York. And he kind of pushed for California recording, which is where he lived, or where the family lived, and they got to do it on film, and they got to put it out after it was done and edited and all that kind of fun stuff. And that enabled reruns, but everybody kind of was so against the idea of doing it on film. He was like, great, you guys will put it out once, but then I get to own the film. But then when they wanted the reruns, they had to come to him and pay him, right? So he got to get paid like a bunch of times for the same show, and nobody had ever done that. So it was like this genius marketing idea, or this genius just business idea, not marketing. But so he did kind of invent this new thing that TV, for television, and the 3 camera setup for comedies is still used today. I mean, Big Bang Theory used it. There's others. You get a lot of 1 camera setups on drama, but when you have comedy, getting that 3 camera setup lets you get the joke and the reaction shot in the same time, and that way you don't have to worry about, hey, did I get the same reaction shot as something else? So it's still used in movie and TV today, in a lot of ways. Not as much as it once was, but it is still used. Uh, Sometimes you have way more cameras than that on scenes today, but for a long time, 3 camera was just the way it was done. And but the book gets into a lot of the personal stuff. So he accomplished a lot of great things. They went from these little bitty kind of comedy sketch players to being the wealthiest family in Hollywood. They had the biggest production studio in Hollywood. Desilu Studios, him and his wife, were responsible for bringing you not only I Love Lucy, but Star Trek. They were the first ones to greenlight Star Trek. They were the first ones to greenlight Mission Impossible, a few other things. But it was because of the business decisions that they made back when I Love Lucy was being made. It also gets into his rampant alcoholism. His let's just say he was addicted to several things that weren't necessarily his wife. And he didn't necessarily see a problem with that. He's like, oh, they're just people I pay to do that stuff, no big deal, right? And well, his wife saw it differently, and she knew it was going on long before she finally divorced him. it's a lot of that's in the book. It'll tell you kind of all about it. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but it is a very well done book and pulls absolutely no punches on the stuff he messed up and got wrong, as well as the stuff he got very right. Um, and you also see it tells you about the true love story in between him and Lucy, that they really did love each other and kind of forever, even after the divorce. They were still obviously kind of forced to be in each other's lives because of both the business and their kids. But you know, off to his dying day, you know, they you could according to the book, you could see that they were deeply in love, but they just couldn't be married because there were obvious challenges. But Desi Arnaz, the man who invented TV, he really did give us a lot of television long before anybody else realizes it. And you know, here he was, a guy who didn't come here as an immigrant. He came here as a refugee from Cuba and came with no money and became not only, you know, one of the first Cuban Americans on TV, but he was sort of the first, still one of the biggest ever people from sort of, you know, the Hispanic community to become a studio executive. He ran one of the biggest studios in town. It eventually got absorbed by Paramount, and you know, now Paramount owns all the stock from it. But it for a while in Hollywood, they were the big players, man. Desilu Studios, and ton of stuff that I did not know was in this book. And I was a fan of the show a long time because my parents watched it, my grandparents watched it. It was in reruns forever. I don't think it gets watched as much today because, you know, black and white. But it is a good book. So great picture of him and his wife on the back, his ex-wife, wife, love of his life on the back cover. But Desi Arnaz, the man who invented TV, it's a great read. If you get the chance, pick it up. I will drop a link in the first comment on the video, so you can find it on Amazon pretty easily. I think it's only in hardcover and Audible and Kindle at the moment. I don't think paperback is out yet because it usually takes a while. But check it out today. Great book. Talk to everybody soon.